Let's take a look at some charts on ZRX from this week's article on Brave New Coin. So originally ZRX was a decentralized exchange protocol that, to be quite honest, quite frank, like many ICOs, probably didn't need a token. Still probably doesn't need a token. I'll explain that a little further on. The use case is questionable. However, much like the Brave browser and BAT token example, the Brave browser is great. The DEXs on ZRX protocol are amazing. They are fulfilling a niche service that has expanded beyond a niche service into a whole new cottage industry. These are just some of them. They've even expanded on their site to say apps and as well as DEXs. It's anything now, anything with an API. And a warm body can connect to the ZRX protocol. I don't talk about this enough, but it's always good to look at ICOs and how much funding they have. What are they holding? Are they holding BTC ETH? Are they holding some random? Are they holding CNY? Are they holding USD? Are they holding a mixture of everything? Do they have a treasury? Are they investing it? It's always good to find out as much of that information as you can, especially if it was an ICO. In ZRX's case, they've long since spent all of it or appeared to have spent all of their ICO funds. It wouldn't surprise me if some of these ICOs would be going for further rounds of funding at this point, now that most of them are maybe 3 years out or 4 years out. Some of them probably already have. I'm just blanking on specific examples, but something to keep in mind. Because once they run out of funding and once they run out of their own pre-mine to sell, or it's vested, or they don't have access to it, they're going to need funds to further development or to further marketing or whatever to just pay for the token, pay for the business. Is it a security at that point? Maybe, but that's not for me to decide. Here's an example of one interface for the ZRX protocol. You connect your MetaMask, your hardware wallet, your whatever wallet, and you can just trade away. You don't need a specific account at any one of these exchanges. And how this works is they basically combine all the order books, and I want to buy 1 ETH's worth of something. It just, boom, happens in the background, and you don't have to worry about finding best price or finding best fees. All that happens for you. And here's another example of a DEX called Matcha. Just a really smooth interface. Unlike most of crypto, the interfaces are terrible, continue to be terrible. It is well known that they are terrible, and nothing is being done about it. So it's good that Matcha is an example, a shining beacon on a hill of something that is actually user-friendly and tells you stuff like, hey, you're going to lose money here, or these are your fees, this is what you're getting here and why. It lays it out for you in simple terms. And because it's a DEX, because it's on-chain, it's a little different than using a regular order book in a centralized exchange. If we look at the staking component of the coin, what you do is you use your ZRX in a pool and you get paid out in ETH fees that are collected from the trading aspect of everything. So you can see as a whole, notionally, technically not really staking. I mean, let's be real here. It's not backing the consensus of the network. It is just using your tokens, giving them a job, basically. So to compare directly to all this other stuff is kind of silly, but here we are. And again, if we compare to all the other staking stuff, ZRX is really just at the bottom of the pile. It's not really a staking coin. It has a staking capacity, I guess you could say, capability, but it doesn't really stack up against anything on this list that has staking. If you look at the trading volumes on ZRX DEXs, they've exploded in this past few months. Just multi-billion in volume, just huge, right? Like they've gone from literally nothing to, oh, hey, here we are. We're now rivaling centralized exchanges. Number of trades are also on the increase. Average trading size also on the increase here. And the number of active traders also hitting highs here. So again, the protocol is becoming a needed service. Is the token a needed token? I don't know. That's for the market to decide, I guess. If you look at the on-chain stats for the token, they tend to spike with the spikes in price. They aren't really leading or lagging. They just, if there's a Coinbase listing, boom, here's a spike. If price goes way up, boom, there's a spike. So it's really kind of silly to look at this because at the end of the day, the number of transactions that these tokens are getting thus far really isn't that big of a deal. It's not really enough to move the needle. Active addresses, you can see here, are just kind of almost nothing. NVT is in an all-time low, but if as a whole, the network on chain isn't really doing much, and now they're staking Evolve 2, it just, there's too many cooks in the kitchen here to really look at this on-chain stuff and think it's useful, in my opinion. If I was trading it, which I currently am not, but if I was, I wouldn't be using the on-chain stats. Here's the daily chart with some technicals: yearly pivot, volume, RSI, and VPVR, volume profile of the visible range. So previously it was, price was stuck within this triangle, broke down, and then it was stuck within this consolidation zone, or what became a consolidation zone. And you can see that on the volume here. Most of the volume historically has been below 32 cents. If price can hold above 32 cents and keep bouncing at 32 cents, it says there's definitely a bid down here, and path of least resistance is up at this point. No bull or bear diffs here. Volume is kind of whatever. Trend metrics are bullish. It's above the 200 just barely, and the 5200 cross is just barely bullish. Next resistance up is around 50 cents, and really these yearly pivots are kind of useless until next year in a few weeks, January 1st, when new yearly pivots print. You'll get new areas of resistance levels based on mathematical highs and lows of the previous year. So right now this looks rather trendless. There's no patterns here. There's no anything here, but it's above levels it needs to be above. It's above this zone of consolidation. And if we look at the daily cloud, there's an argument to be made for an edge-to-edge trade. So right now, as price stands, it's neutral. However, once price enters the cloud, there's a high probability it will reach the other edge of the cloud, around 63 cents in this case. It's not a massive trade, but it is showing signs of bullish reversal stuff. Alternatively, you could say, you know what, this is a giant head and shoulders, and if it breaks 32 cents, it's game over, which is a fair assessment as well. But right now, it's definitely leaning towards bullish reversal territory. Then lastly, if we look at ZRX BTC, similar to BAT, again, I think Q2 is going to be where alts will make their moves against Bitcoin. Not now. They will continue to either go sideways or lose value against Bitcoin. And as we approach Q2, April, May, June, next year, all of a sudden we're going to get this edge-to-edge stuff on most alts, which haven't happened already on the BTC pairs. It's happening on the USD pairs, but we're going to start to see it on the BTC pairs. And that'll be the make or break time for alts, I think, is late Q1, early Q2, because a lot of them look exactly like this. They're below resistance. You know, they're below this key resistance on USD. For example, if the USD pair price was below all this, I'd say, okay, that's obviously bearish. It looks really bad, right? I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to wait until there's some sort of strength here. Because right now, just like Tezos BTC and in most other BTC pairs, it just does not look good. It may look oversold slightly, but it's below all of the volume it needs to be above if we're bullish. Path of least resistance is definitely down here. So that may mean all-time lows for the BTC pair. So I would forget about this pair and just watch it in a few months when it's probably back into the 27,800 sat zone. Probably will make a stab at the 3,800 sat zone, and then from there I'd expect 65 to 75. But right now, this is not a long, it's not a trade. I don't see anything here. It just doesn't look good. So overall, fundamentals for ZRX are bullish on protocol, not so sure on token. The technicals are bullish on USD pair, potentially. They're not like mega bullish. They're neutral to bullish. And then the BTC pair, like I said, just looks like most alts right now. They're just getting pummeled because strength right now is BTC, not alts. Alts will probably make a run Q2 2021 like they have almost every year. Q2 has been extremely strong for altcoins.